Thank you for choosing to watch the Watchman News Headlines video. Our full episodes can now be seen over at Patreon with much more added content for just $2 a month. Link is in the description. If you cannot afford $2 a month, please consider using our Amazon affiliate link, purchasing from our Teespring store, or making a PayPal donation. All links are below. In order for us to grow, we have to make changes to enable it. Our time is valuable, and we have been one of the very few news sources actually dedicated to bringing you honest, hard-hitting, actionable news and information. Plus, for your $2 a month, you do not have to hear me blabber about these links. It's a win for us all.
Bullshit.
Thank you. Good evening, Watchmen and Watchwomen of YouTube. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to say, although you probably already see it showing up as a premiere, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, there will be a weekly threat assessment video premiering on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. That is not going to be a normal thing. I will say that right up front, but I want everybody to have an idea of what it is that we're doing over there. That is for the $5 and up patrons. A lot of work, a lot of time that goes into that, and so I want everybody to see. I want everybody to have a chance to get an idea of what we're doing over there. There's a lot of stuff that we got going on. Let me real quick copy link address and log out over here. Paste and go, because I can't remember the number. 75. We've got 75 posts over there on Patreon, and we're just like a month in. So that's quite a few, in my opinion. That's quite a few. And again, 75 posts. That's an average of over 2 a day. And I don't think we're doing too bad. There's a lot of stuff over there. A lot of content over there. Like I've said, there's both grow tents over there on Patreon. There's, it looks like I'm probably going to be doing an in-depth video on how I set up my hybrid system, my hybrid potting system. It looks like I'll be doing a video on that probably within the next week. So a lot of good information over there. And as time goes on, there'll be more and more and more. I'll be doing more things. And as soon as this weather warms up outside, I plan to get on a ton of different projects. So something you may want to consider. Anyway, you're here for some headlines. Let's do some headlines because we got a lot of them we'll be starting from Friday, of course, because this is our first day back. Let's get started. U.S. ready for nuclear talks with Iran with precondition of addressing regional issues. Residents in breakaway Ukrainian Donbass regions have more trust in government than those living under Kiev's rule, a new poll finds. Free speech-loving Western journalists cheer as Ukraine charges shit-stirring blogger with treason for discrediting state policy. Pay up Zuck. Canada allies with Australia in battle against Facebook over news content. PR disaster worsens for Ted Cruz as reports say senator left dog in freezing home after fleeing to Cancun during Texas blackout. Now, there was a security guard or something like that there, so it's not like the dog was completely alone. But really, dude, Russia's gold and foreign currency reserves surged by over $5 billion. Australia and Facebook hold talks as PM Scott Morrison vows not to bend to the threat. China officially admits casualties during last year's clash with India as two countries continue disengagement at disputed border. Gun battles raging, explosions heard across Mogadishu as Somali government forces seal off of streets. We're still on Friday. India wants more trade with Russia going beyond traditional sectors. U.S. diplomats in Russia have asked to receive Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine after Washington failed to supply doses, says reports. The UK minister says no way to give 100% certainty that lockdowns won't return as government mulls roadmap for lifting restrictions. EU is politicizing COVID-19 vaccine efforts, says Russia, slamming comments from Bloc's head on Sputnik V rollout as deplorable. A Texas apartment block collapses as firefighters can't retrieve water from frozen hydrants. Again, we're still on Friday. Investing in Bitcoin is less dumb than holding cash, but only slightly better, says Elon Musk. London takes aim at Sturgeon after Scottish leader says EU flag must be flown on government buildings, not the Union flag. Germany to set up special task force to speed up future vaccine production. Iran would immediately reverse its nuclear program if U.S. lifts sanctions, but Washington and allies wants Tehran to make the first move. This is the way it always goes. Russian Communist leader Zyuganov, and I'm sure I said that wrong, threatens to fire anti-Kremlin MP Rashkin after accusations of supporting the traitor Navalny. Bye-bye Bill. Russia's nuclear officials abandon America's Microsoft Office software and switch to home design technology, says reports. Which is what everybody should be doing. I don't know why anything to do with our grid or infrastructure is on either Windows or Mac or anything of the sort, or even Linux for that matter. I think they all need to be on their own operating system, entirely own operating system that is locked down like you would not believe. And I think if they did that, then this whole hacking thing and cybersecurity thing as far as infrastructure wouldn't be a thing whatsoever. But no, we can't do that. Why? Because there's no profit in that. And that's sad. They'll risk the entire nation's lives, well, close to the entire nation's lives, because there will be survivors, all because they can't turn a profit. Now, something's wrong about that. Beijing calls on Britons to distinguish right from wrong, claiming media has distorted UK's public view of China. A disturbing video shows cop punching alleged attacker in the head as assaults on transit police triple in New York City. Still on Friday. Idea of sacrifice, a complete non-starter in U.S. culture before COVID pandemic, spurred major shift in American values, a study finds. 17% of UK universal credit claimants forced to miss meals due to financial strain of COVID pandemic, says a study. UK Supreme Court rules Uber drivers should be classified as employed and entitled to minimum wage and holiday pay. Czech Republic scraps plan to reopen shops, mandates double masking in public. Hong Kong to let citizens choose which COVID-19 jab they receive amid safety concerns and low vaccine confidence. Forget GameStop, the entire U.S. fixed income market is about to blow due to insolvency and inflation, as strategist tells boom bust. UK's MI6 chief apologizes to LGBT plus spies whose dreams shattered over view that gay people are more easily blackmailed. A bombshell report claims U.S. to hit Russia with new sanctions over Nord Stream 2, but could leave German construction firms exempted. Gotta love how that works. Russia's Crimean bridge closed for the first ever time due to snow as regional head declares weather-related state of emergency. Pfizer revises ultra-cold storage guidance for COVID-19 jab and says vaccine is stable at refrigerator temperatures. Do you get the amount of corruption here? I mean, can you imagine? The amount of money that had went to these companies to build these cold storage facilities to be able to store these vaccines in, because you have to have it, right? And all the doses that have been thrown away because for even just a moment they went below that temperature. Now it turns out that you can store them in a refrigerator. Yeah, I don't buy it either. I mean, I believe that you could store it in a refrigerator, but I don't believe for a second that they didn't know that to begin with. Somebody was lining somebody else's pockets. What dreams may come, scientists develop method for two-way communication while people are in deep sleep. Let me repeat that because it's kind of scary to me. What dreams may come, scientists develop method for two-way communication while people are in deep sleep. Let's see. Time of death whenever you decide. Futurist pitches crypto preservation to RT, mostly for people with a sense of adventure. No thanks. I'll pass. Spanish Prime Minister finally condemns violent protest in support of rapper jailed for terrorism and insulting the crown. Bitcoin pushes toward $1 trillion market cap after hitting new historic high. 31 people die after bubonic plague outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo. As Russia ramps up its mass vaccination program, Moscow Mayor Sobyanin, I don't know how to say that, claims COVID-19 pandemic on decline in the capital. U.S. Olympic medalist and figure skating coach is accused of abuse, including biting skaters. There's something with this. People that are biters are typically, and this is a psychological fact, are typically very violently sexually abusive. Let me say that again. People that are biters are typically very violently sexually abusive. I think that this goes much deeper than just biting. And it would be nothing new with these Olympic coaches. Nothing new at all. French refugee center manager stabbed to death by asylum seekers, says police. Still on Friday, by the way. Johnson & Johnson submits its single-shot COVID-19 vaccine to WHO for emergency use. Lithuanian president worried Russia could swallow troubled Belarus as part of embattled leader Lukashenko's eventual departure. UK government acted unlawfully by not disclosing lucrative COVID-19 contracts for PPE in time for public scrutinies, the High Court rules. Canada plans overhaul of language rights, making bilingualism mandatory for top judges and prioritizing French in Quebec. Despite not meeting key criteria for European Union accession, Ukraine's President Zelensky says country will join bloc by 2030. Almost all Spanish nursing home residents have received 2 COVID doses, as Madrid says state on track with vaccine rollout. Turning away from the West, 3/4 of Russians think well of China, but fewer than half feel positive about the U.S. and the EU. Southern cities hit hard by storms face new crisis, no water. Again, this was Friday. Pandemic will be with us until everyone on Earth given COVID-19 vaccine, says Merkel after G7 summit. That's concerning. Pandemic put U.S. back on track to meet Paris climate goals, a report finds, but at huge human cost. Yeah, you aren't kidding. Empty shelves and long lines outside stores as Texas runs out of food amidst deadly cold snap. Again, Friday's news. Pfizer BioNTech tried to gouge the EU with $65 vaccine doses, says a German media report. Paris beefs up police patrols and Lyon bans booze as French authorities fear warm weather will spark COVID rule breaking. Hang on, let me have a sip of coffee. Normally I wait until we're through Friday, but hell. All right, continuing on with Friday. Families of Beirut blast victims stage fiery protest after lead investigator removed from the case. What is this? 1998, Twitter users astonished that Tony Blair is opining on COVID roadmap and media covers it as news. Ex-MP Williamson slams University of Bristol for failure to defund anti-Zionist professor from lynch mob demanding his firing. Dutch curfew extended by emergency bill as government shuns court ruling of COVID lockdown illegally. Or illegality, technically. Chuck some borscht on the Barbie amid Australian news row. Facebook accidentally clamps down on Russian culture site. Democracy, you gotta love this. Democracy must prevail over autocracy, Biden tells the world, even as he is accused of autocratic tendencies back home. Couldn't tell by the stack of executive orders, you know? Google fires another AI ethics researcher amid row over censorship and racism as team member accuses company of a smear campaign. Nah. Coca-Cola accused of telling employees to be less white in training course by critical race theory peddler D'Angelo. So remember that. Be a little less white, please. Can't make this up. You can't make this up. All right, we're to Saturday. Can I get a cheer or an amen or something? Outage outrage. Texans see power bills as high as $17,000 after brutal storm pummels grid and leaves millions without electricity. Could you imagine living in a 2-bedroom home, 3-bedroom home? I don't know what kind of home this person lived in, but could you imagine living in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom home and lucking out because you didn't lose power through most of all of this nightmare down in Texas? And then you get a $17,000 bill in the mail. You know what? They couldn't keep the power on in most places in Texas, right? And it was a catastrophic for many, many, many families. But man, they got these bills out awful damn quick, did they not? They were on that. Amazing. Gold price hits 7-month low as investors turn to other assets. Jailed opposition figure Navalny appears in Russian court to appeal fraud sentence and face verdict in World War II veteran traitor case. Russia registers third domestically created vaccine against COVID-19, Prime Minister reveals. New jab Covivac joins Sputnik 5 and Epivac Corona. Like vacation, sex, and arts, it's a work-life balance thing. Columbia professor defends his heroin habit, sparking a drug debate. Putin's stern condemnation of caveman nationalism strongly contradicts Western attempts to paint him as a Russian ultranationalist. Russian court denies Navalny appeal, says he violated terms of suspended sentence, and confirms he will be behind bars until 2023. Mind your language. Kiwi MP says sorry for tweeting women's rights or human rights and getting TERFs excited. Whatever. COVID-19 aftermath coronavirus pandemic to force more than 100 million people to switch jobs within 10 years. Meteor exploded so brightly it triggered doorbell cams across northern England. We're still on Saturday. Iran plans petrochemical boom despite U.S. sanctions. Taiwan greenlights AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. Former Bundestag advisor Dmitry Voronin detained on high treason charges in Russia as prosecutors say he spied for NATO nation. Authorities warn a water level drop at damaged Fukushima nuclear plant after recent magnitude 7.3 earthquake. Hugging still forbidden. Britons express disbelief after government says ending lockdown will begin with hand-holding at care homes. How generous. Russia's Rostec teams up with UAE strategic developer to produce new light helicopters. Chinese media releases dramatic footage of last year's deadly border clash with India. Channeling ex-U.S. President Obama, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov describes relationship between Europe's largest country and the EU as in tatters. Biden's White House working directly with big tech to censor content causing vaccine hesitancy, says Reuters. Let me repeat that. Biden's White House working directly with big tech to censor content causing vaccine hesitancy, says Reuters. This stuff scares me. When you take over this level of control over people's speech, it scares the hell out of me. If you want to curtail vaccine hesitancy, let us talk about it. Zelensky wants to establish dictatorship, says Ukrainian opposition leader, as Kiev bids to put him behind bars on terror charges. By the way, not that I would get it, but if there's nothing to fear, then why can't we talk about it? Why can't we talk about it if there's nothing? Meteoric growth. Bitcoin keeps beating its own best, shooting past 57,000. Insane. Still on Saturday. Beleaguered Texans forced to flee burning hotel as sprinkler system fails due to frozen pipes. A not very PC, Chelsea Clinton funded trans app surges, transitioning people to budget their money and be nice to the cops. France's health minister considering new restrictions and regional lockdowns as COVID-19 spread continues. Texas police looking for more than 100 illegal immigrants who fled smuggling truck amid winter freeze. G7 states account for nearly half of all administered COVID-19 vaccine doses globally as WHO roots for fair and equal distribution. I keep saying somebody can have my dose. Russia has detected world's first case of new H5N8 bird flu strain in 7 poultry farm workers, health watchdog reveals. Ireland says cluster of more contagious Brazilian COVID variant completely contained. Global COVID-19 cases plummet by 50% since January peak despite colder temperatures boosting transmission rates. 2 people killed as Myanmar police are accused of firing at anti-coup protesters. Again, still on Saturday. I have a vape here. Biden declares major disaster in Texas as federal aid flows. Over 120 UK-based charities that paid for implicit bias courses, just the tip of the iceberg in lucrative woke industries, says the media. See, you've even got people that are just trying to profit off of this nonsense. And that's all their interest is, right? Whether it's profit monetarily, whether it's profit by attention, we need to shut it down. We need to shut it down. This whole woke thing, we just need to shut it down. We can. We just got to do more than share memes. We just got to shut it down. You know? And if the government wants to resist that idea of shutting down this woke stupidity, then they maybe need shut down. But it all needs to be shut down. It really, truly does. It's nothing but destructive. And they're doing it on purpose. There's a reason why they want it to be destructive. Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny handed $11,500 fine after being found guilty of defaming elderly World War II veteran in a tweet. Biden declares major disaster in Texas as state continues to battle power outages amid extreme cold. NASA shares more incredible photos from Martian surface as Perseverance mission begins in earnest. And there's pictures going around. I don't know if it's true. Photoshop is an amazing thing. There's a picture going around apparently claiming that one of the images that they shared is actually from Curiosity. And in fact, you can see like a metal plate or what have you that has the name Curiosity on it. So, again, there's a lot of people that will go to far extremes to try to make stuff up. I don't know if that image was made up or not. I don't know either way, whether we really did put another probe on the surface of Mars or we didn't. I don't know. And neither does any other normal Joe out there. We just don't. And we have to be honest with ourselves. We just don't. I think there is a possibility that it's bogus, and that it's just propaganda because China just put one up there, right? I did not forget about the race to the moon, right? Or the space race in general back against the Soviet Union. I didn't forget about that. And I'm not foolish enough to think they wouldn't do it again. Norless nickel and firing line again after $2 billion fine for fuel leak. Fatal factory collapse due to gross safety violations. U.S. deports 95-year-old Nazi guard to Germany where he won't be prosecuted. How do you like that? Right? I thought we were supposed to be woke and against this type of stuff. Let me say that again. I thought we were supposed to be woke and against this type of stuff. So why are we deporting an old Nazi guard back to Germany so he won't be prosecuted for his crimes? Definitely something to think about. FBI and DOJ investigating Alex Jones and Roger Stone for alleged ties to U.S. Capitol insurrectionists, says reports. Madrid police shows video of crackdown on COVID rule-breaking teen party with scared guests snatched from inside wardrobes and beds. United Jet suffers engine failure and fire makes emergency landing while scattering debris on houses in Denver. Some pretty freaky video associated with that. What happens if you don't consent? WhatsApp won't allow users to read and send messages if they reject the new privacy rules. Multiple casualties after firefight at gun store in New Orleans, says reports. I believe there were 3 that were killed in that. Or wait, I may have it. I can't remember. Hang on. Yeah, 3 killed. Flight training clip of kids has journalists lamenting Russians are being trained as young hockey beasts as Americans play video games. I would say that's probably pretty accurate. People turn off their power because they can't afford it. Texas woman slapped with $11,000 electricity bill, tells RT. This is insane. This was last night. 2 New York school administrators fired for refusing to give Black Panther salutes. When does this stop? It stops when we stop it. That's when. But not a second before. It will not stop a second before we stop it. All right, now we're to this morning's news. World debt soars to record $281 trillion in 2020, set to rise again this year, says a report. And I'm going to ask again, who in the hell does the world owe? Do we owe the planet Pluto, Venus, Mars? Is Mars charging us a fee for, occupying? Who in the hell, what planet do we owe? Facebook scrubs Myanmar military page for incitement of violence after security forces kill 2 anti-coup protesters. Corporate titans acting as sovereign bullies. Australia plans publicity campaign for COVID-19 jab rollout, but not on Facebook. Al-Qaeda affiliate planning simulated chemical attack in Syria's Idlib, according to Russian military intelligence. UK government to hike corporation tax to offset expense of COVID-19 aid, says a report. With mere months left till deadline for Trump negotiated Afghanistan withdrawal, press prepares public to accept its likely breach. Did we expect anything else? I didn't. Regardless of the administration, I didn't expect anything else. Deer developed hairy eyeballs due to rare, baffling condition. It's our ethical duty. Poland seeks to introduce retirement benefits for police dogs and horses. I'll die of dehydration before I drink Dasani. Americans mock Coca-Cola for sending unpopular bottled water to Texas amid crisis. Really? Seriously. That is when you know you live in an extremely out-of-touch society. When a company sends aid and people mock them because they don't like the brand. Yeah. Those people need to go without water. NHS doctors transplant hearts in children using reanimated organs in world's first. Home Office urged to investigate after media says asylum seekers subjected to sexual harassment and abuse in government-run hotels. Are we really surprised by that? I'm not. Barcelona burns once again on 5th night of protest over rapper's imprisonment for insulting the Spanish king. Military passenger plane crashes in Nigeria, at least 6 feared dead. Argentina swears in new health minister after cronyism scandal hit vaccination rollout and saw incumbent fired. Disney labels The Muppet Show as offensive content in baffling disclaimer. Oh, now the Muppets are offensive. Who'd have thunk it? 2 people injured in Netherlands as another Boeing jet rains down debris due to engine fire. Russia to team up with UAE to develop supersonic passenger jet, says Trade Minister. Oh, you gotta love this one. Amazon selling Chinese children's potty as traditional fruit basket to Americans triggers flood of jibes and warnings from China. So be careful of the fruit baskets you buy because they might really be pissers. We have lost the streets, Belarusian opposition figure Tiankhansova, I can't say her name, says predicting more protests in the spring. When I still won't be able to say her name. Keep that mask on. Fauci says face coverings will be needed even in 2022 as he defines new normality. Breaking ice to move gas as Russian tanker icebreaker duo complete milestone Arctic voyage, climate activists side with the ice. Aggressive measures needed. India discovers 240 new, possibly more infections or infectious COVID-19 strains. Possibly 240 new COVID-19 strains. Yeah. I don't know. I know, and as it was covered in the weekly threat assessment, there's a hell of a lot of tyranny going on with it. I don't know. I really don't know. Get ready to be able to take care of you and yours. And that's the only thing I can recommend. Because it's not going to stop. That I can assure you. Whether it be the reality of COVID-19 or whether it be the reality of the tyranny from COVID-19, it's not going to stop. So just be prepared to take care of you and yours so that if it reaches a point to where you have to disconnect from all outside whatever, that you can do so. Because I think there is going to be a time that you will have to do that. Israel shuts down its entire Mediterranean coast as massive oil spill raises health concerns. Very shocking. Texas man receives energy bill for nearly $7,000. Iran reaches temporary agreement with UN inspectors as nuclear deal hangs in the balance. Nearly half of Republicans would ditch their party for Trump, and only 27% would remain GOP loyal, a poll finds. Ukraine condemns persecution of journalists in Belarus after squashing opposition outlets at home. Biden Attorney General nominee Merrick Garland vows to use terror-fighting skills to prosecute Capitol rioters ahead of confirmation hearing. Biden's press secretary ripped for sidestepping questions on Cuomo nursing home scandal, says White House to continue working with him. It won't simply be sanctions. Biden advisor threatens to punish Russia with tools seen and unseen for the SolarWinds hack. That is an interesting headline. Harry Potter video game designer outed as far-right YouTuber, but cancel culture calls met with pushback. New York activists respond to brutal attack on Asian man by rallying against white nationalism, even though the culprit was black. Go figure. Maybe the culprit identified as white when he committed the crime. It's a possibility. We don't know. Don't be so discriminatory. United grounds all Boeing 777s with P&W 4000 engines as FAA orders inspections following fire emergency landing in Denver. I'm not going down without a fight. Actress Gina Carano vows to overcome cancel mob and Disney bullies. Nearly 30,000 Macs reportedly infected with mysterious malware, which is only about half as many people infected with VD from... No, I won't say that. Let's see. We do got a number one over here. Ministry of Social Cohesion. German MPs want to change constitution to grant special protections to minorities. Well, isn't that special? Anyway, that is the headlines. This is the end of our Sunday night. I hope everybody has a good evening. God willing, we'll see you again tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.